Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is the news on NTA International. We're live in Abuja. I'm Ruth Aguela. Let's bring you the headlines. Federal Executive Council meeting approves construction of power stations for Kano and Benue states. Cheering news for Nigerians as federal government and stakeholders in oil and gas sector consider crashing prices of petroleum products, leveraging on artisanal refining system. Federal government set to deploy 6,000 troops to Zamfara state. Governor Bello Mohammed issues 2 months ultimatum to bandits to lay down arms and embrace peace. The Federal Executive Council has approved contract for the reconstruction of 3 substations for enhanced power supply in Kano and Benue states. Also approved is the extension of power transmission lines to some communities in Abia and Imo states. The Minister of Power, Saleh Mamman, announced this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that a memo on the strategic implementation work plan for the Nigerian Delta region also scaled through.
The meeting 8 for the year 2021 and 37th to be held virtually in compliance with the COVID-19 Safety Advisory considered and approved 6 memoranda aimed at enhancing the nation's power and education sectors as well as the development of the Niger Delta region. For the power sector, the council approved $27.7 million and 5.48 billion naira for the construction of 3 substations at Bichi and Kanya in Kano State, as well as Zakibiam in Benue State. $506,000 as well as 34 million naira will also be utilized in the extension of transmission lines in Abia and Imo states.
Just to expand the national grid in order to house sustainable supply of electricity and also improve capacity.
Before now, there's been complaint that more power is being produced than is being wheeled out. So all these contracts is about improving the capacity of the TCN so that when this electricity is produced, it will get to our homes.
And in continuation of government efforts at revitalizing and rejuvenating the education sector, over 190 million naira has been approved by the council for the University of Ibadan towards acquiring a new state-of-the-art microscope for enhanced cutting-edge research in the Department of Anatomy.
The first of such equipment was given to us in 1967 by the Japanese government, but has become obsolete. The federal government, in its holistic attempt to address both its economic and social values as well as upgrade our educational targets, then approved this so that we can stop spending the kind of money we spend sending PhD and further research students abroad on the basis of the lack of this particular equipment. And if University of Ibadan is a part, it will become the fulcrum for many other research faculties around the country, including from neighboring West African countries.
For the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, its memo on the strategic implementation work plan for the Niger Delta region has been approved. It is an e-portal where all projects aimed at adding value to the Niger Delta region will be keyed into for effective monitoring, guidance, and planning purposes.
We believe strongly that that will help in coordination. It will also help in stopping duplication of projects. It will also help in stopping false accusations. For instance, the federal government is doing so much through the Ministry of Niger Delta, but most of those projects are being owned by either the local government or state governments without the knowledge of the people. We have about 50 projects completed and ready for commissioning, but for COVID-19, done by the ministry, not the NDDC. And so those projects will be in that portal so that you can sit down in the comfort of your bedroom and look at what the Ministry of Niger Delta has done for your state, has done for your community. You can also look at it, what has Total that is operating within your area done? What has Shell done? What has Chevron done? What has ExxonMobil been able to do in the last 2 or 3 years for you? Those things will all be there.
Still for the Niger Delta region, a variation of contract has been approved for the 18-kilometer Baraguru-Oviagbene Road in Bomadi local government area of Delta State. The project, initially awarded at 8.5 billion naira, is now to be completed at 9 billion naira. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
A look at legislative affairs. Apart from socio-cultural impediments to women emancipation in Africa and Nigeria in particular, there are legal hurdles that have complicated the ugly situation. But the barrier is on the verge of being dismantled as the Senate has resolved to amend all laws against gender parity and domesticate all treaties on gender equality. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unkwa reports.
It's been a week for the women. From various quarters, the significant role of women and the dangers of its neglect resonated. At the resumption of plenary on Wednesday, one of the motions on the floor of the Senate was the call for women empowerment. The chairman Senate Committee on Women Affairs, Senator Betty Apiafi, leading other female senators, drew the attention of the Senate to the strides and challenges of Nigerian women in observance of the 2021 International Women's Day.
The 9th National Assembly is challenged to amend the Nigerian Constitution and include gender parity and enact laws that will improve the lot of Nigerian women and girls.
We need to fully participate. All women are asking for is a enabling environment.
We have to come up with laws that all these men have to support us. You have wives, you have daughters.
I urge the 9th National Assembly to domesticate all conventions and treaties of the African Union AU in respect of gender issues. Those in favor of Para 6I, those against any the ayes.
Infrastructure motions followed suit as Senator Jibrin Issa drew the attention of the Senate to what he described as the urgent need for the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency to embark on the rehabilitation of the Shintaku-Ayimba Road in Kogi State, as well as the Lagos-Ota-Abeokuta Expressway, presented by Senator Olamilekon Adiola.
To embark on immediate maintenance of the Shintaku-Ayimba Road to boost economic activities, facilitate transportation of farm produce, and reduce crimes in the axis.
The Insurance Act 2003 Amendment Bill, sponsored by Senator Ibikunle Amosun, the Teaching Hospital from Modibo Adama University of Yola Establishment Bill, by Senator Aishatu Dahiru, the Institute of Information and Communication Technology or GOJA Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Stephen Ode, and the National Directorate of Employment Amendment Bill from Senator Kabiru Barkia, passed second reading.
This bill is proposed to ensure compliance with the compulsory insurance of public buildings and buildings under construction by relevant stakeholders in Nigeria.
Senate has adjourned to Tuesday, the 16th of March 2021. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Well, it is time to break the chain of silence in reporting cases of gender-based violence. This is the stance of key players and community influencers at a capacity-building workshop on gender-based violence in Abuja. Salwal Khalil Ibrahim will tell us more.
It affects persons of a particular gender disproportionately.
Daiba is a specialist in gender-based issues and advocate against gender-based violence (GBV) through Connected Health Initiative. Considering the number of unreported cases of gender-based violence in the country, Daiba now works through her NGO to improve psychosocial response to GBV in government and private institutions.
These conversations. We need to make people know that it is not okay to treat someone in a certain way because it has long-lasting impact.
Participants at these training workshops say ending the culture of silence amongst victims is of utmost importance to help facilitate action among concerned authorities.
It's important to deal with harmful traditional practices that seem to reinforce gender-based violence in communities.
Daiba and her team are optimistic that this training workshop will harmonize legal, medical and psychosocial assistance for survivors of GBV. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
Removing all barriers that have been hindering women and girls in science, technology, engineering and mathematics will contribute enormously to infrastructural development in the country. Now, this was the thrust of stakeholders' presentations at the 2021 International Women's Day Forum put together by the Association of Professional Engineers of Nigeria and its partner. Haman Jabani reports.
It is believed that only 14% of engineers in Nigeria are women, but the number has constantly been growing in the last few years despite the existence of the obstacles faced by them in science, technology, engineering and mathematics. This is why the Association of Professional Women Engineers in Nigeria is working towards encouraging girls from the grassroots to have interest. The association awarded scholarship to 6 girls from the North Central, Southwest and Northwest zones after a competition to qualify for the award.
When they see a woman, they readily do not believe that she can perform. But we are grateful that there are people who have been able to open their minds.
I have exceeded the Beijing 35% affirmative. My own is 42%. And we can do more because they are proof, they are mentors.
To encourage those working to change the narrative, the association has awarded 20 Nigerians under 3 categories of #Choose Challenge Award, Pillar of Women Empowerment Award, and Pillar of Girl Child STEAM Education Award, which has governors of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, Lagos, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Ebonyi, David Umahi, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, as recipients.
Most of people that suffered most in any crisis, in wars, in whatever, even in economic recession, are women. So when women are empowered, we can see the society will also be empowered.
Stakeholders commended the association for their contributions and solicit more opportunities to women in national planning. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Stakeholders in the oil and gas sector are considering crashing the prices of petroleum products, leveraging on artisanal refining system. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Ita Enang, gave the indication in a press conference preparatory to the Stakeholders Summit. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
The conference is to harmonize and improve technologies already used by artisanal refiners with the intention to insert its recommendations into the ongoing petroleum industry bill being considered in the National Assembly to give it a legal backing.
Sending it abroad, the cost of the vessel, the cost of demurrage arising. When it is finished, you pay tax in those countries, you pay tax in this country, you pay the port charges of those countries where it is refined and coming from, and then you pay the labor of those countries. And then when it comes into Nigeria, you pay the port charges, you pay the customs, you pay all other charges, and that is what makes up the cost of high refined petroleum products.
The Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs is partnering with the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Science and Technology, Department of Petroleum Resources, Domestic Refiners Association, University of Petroleum Delta State, and the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, among other stakeholders, in fine-tuning the process which he said will crash petroleum products to 100 naira per litre. Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
Nigeria's digital switch over from analog to digital broadcasting is a project that will be pursued to its logical conclusion. Well, this is the position of key players in the process. Anthony Forsen will tell us more.
When the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, inaugurated the ministerial task force to work and deliver a successful digital switchover in broadcasting, he made it clear that the task force cannot afford to fail. A reason probably why he chairs the task force. Having successfully rolled out in 6 states with 2 signal distributors, integrated television services, and Pinnacle, there is a renewed attempt to discredit the process. In the light of this, we took the matter to the doorsteps of the National Broadcasting Commission.
Nigeria is not among the countries that have not kick-started. There are several countries that have not even started at all in Africa. So we've taken some strides. We're in 6 states as we speak. We have done what is critical to the process in terms of delivery of platform. We have 2 signal distributors operating side by side in these 6 locations. We have set up companies that engage in producing set-top boxes, or if you want, decoders, which are very critical to the transition.
Again, we'll try to pull some assurance.
There's going to be availability of channels, a leap in terms of availability of channels in the digital era.
However, one key component to make the process a success is the set-top box. Godfrey Onwamua is one of the licensed set-top box manufacturers. He says there is no cause for alarm, just as Integrated Television Services, one of the 2 signal distributors, also confirmed they are ready with their technological know-how to roll.
Today there are 13 set-top box manufacturers in Nigeria. Only a few of them, have set up their factory. More is waiting. With the launch, with the movement of the DSO, more of them will set up their factory. Imagine when the whole 13 is fully in blast, where each is employing, say, 1,000.
We in ITS were committed to this project, and the minister has given us much order, and that one we must do. We won't have alternative.
It is expected that in the coming days, the timetable for the commencement of the rollout will be announced. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Let's take a short break. We're back. Stay tuned.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Thanks for being there. The House of Representatives has urged authorities to beef up security in parts of Sokoto State following last Thursday's bandits attack that left scores of people dead. The issue brought to the notice of the House under matters of urgent public importance by Representative Mohammed Bargaja saw House members expressing worry as bandits are carting away farm produce cultivated during the dry season famine. The lawmakers appealed to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to come to the aid of those affected across the 30 villages in Sabo Mbrni and Isa Federal Constituency. And more on security, Governor Bello Mohammed of Zamfara State has issued a 2-month ultimatum to unrepentant bandits to embrace peace and lay down their arms as the federal government is set to deploy additional 6,000 troops to the state. In a statewide broadcast on the fallout of his recent engagement with President Muhammadu Buhari on the prevalent security challenges in the state, the governor announced new strong measures aimed at addressing the menace. Jamilu Ibrahim has more. Right, we'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletin. Let's look at more issues arising on security. Troops of Operation Lafia Dole have upskilled the clearance of villages and enclaves inhabited by the Boko Haram terrorists and their Islamic State West African province counterparts in the northeast. A statement by the Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Mohammed Yerima, says the latest is the elimination of 25 terrorists and destruction of several criminal camps in Chikungudu, Karanua areas of Borno State. Brigadier General Yerima notes that 20 AK-47 rifles, 2 general-purpose machine guns, 3 anti-aircraft guns, 2 automatic grenade launchers, 2 gun trucks, and 1 CJTF Hilux were among arms recovered from the criminals. Well, after 20 years, the National Information Technology and Development Agency has employee-centric condition and scheme of service expected to re-engineer the operations structure and enhance the agency's functionality. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports that the document was presented to the board and management of NITDA by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Ali Pantami, who challenged the agency to improve on its performance.
After almost 5 years of work and review, there is now a documented conditions of work and scheme of service for staff of the digital economic sector after presidential approval. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy Isa Ali Pantami attributed the achievement to the improvement in the gross rate performance of the ICT sector.
And at the ministry, we are developing a template that will be used in assessing the performance of the parastatal and all other parastatals, not only NITDA. And I think with this, we cannot ignore any negligence from NITDA. We must ensure that the performance is enhanced significantly.
The agency has been transformed in line with the National Digital Economy Policy. We have recalibrated all our initiatives to align with your vision and Mr. President's drive to diversify our economy and to make Nigeria a leading digital economy.
With the critical role NITDA plays in the development of Nigeria's digital economy, key actors in the sector are optimistic that the new development makes the desired impact. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Well, as the distribution of vaccines commences across states, Abdulmalik Hassan has a compilation of the distribution of these vaccines to states by the federal government.
Distribution of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines across states of the Federation followed their certification by regulatory bodies after clinical trials. The Benue State government received 50,000 doses of the vaccines. Kano received 209,520 doses, Jigawa 68,500 doses, Ekiti 50,000 doses, Osun 64,240 doses, and Ondo State 50,000 doses. In the meantime, governors of Osun, Jigawa, Ekiti, and Ondo states have been vaccinated at their respective places. The vaccines are to be administered to members of the public in line with the federal government's target to ensure more than half of Nigeria's population are vaccinated before end of 2022. Reports reaching us indicate that Lagos and Kwara are the latest states to have received their consignments, details of which will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. In Abuja, Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
On the global scene, health experts in Brazil issue warning over COVID-19 as death toll hit record numbers. A Libyan parliament approves new interim government advancing peace plan. Joyce Ametu has details.
More than 100 nations, including South Africa and India, have called on the World Trade Organization, WTO, to temporarily waive patents for COVID-19 vaccines, saying they are being prevented from immunizing their people. The appeal was first made in October last year in a bid to make medical products easily accessible by developing nations. From Brazil comes a report that hospitals are on the brink of collapse as pressure from the COVID-19 pandemic shows no sign of easing. Brazil recorded 1,972 COVID-19 deaths on Tuesday, with experts warning that the highly contagious variant may have a knock-on effect in that region. In Africa, Mauritius has started a 2-week nationwide lockdown following a surge in COVID-19 cases. The new lockdown is the second time the country has imposed coronavirus restrictions. Meanwhile, Morocco and Kenya have approved Russia's Sputnik V vaccine for use. Reports have it that a total of 47 countries have now approved the jab. Globally, total positive cases have crossed 118.3 million, with Nigeria accounting for 159,252 confirmed infections. Moving on, Libya's parliament has voted to approve an interim unity government to lead the war-ravaged nation to December elections, a key step towards ending a decade of chaos. After 2 days of intense debate, the parliament Wednesday approved the cabinet of interim Prime Minister Abdelhamid Beiba, with 121 out of the 132 lawmakers voting in support. In other news, Equatorial Guinea's government has declared the coastal city of Bata an area of catastrophe, saying it has activated urgent measures to help those affected by Sunday's explosion that killed dozens and injured scores. The government has declared 3 days of mourning beginning Wednesday. However, investigations into the cause of the blasts have begun. And that's where this segment ends. I am Joyce Ometu.
Talking sports, Ayimba International will begin CAF Confederation Cup group stage on a winning note. Sport update is next.
Hello and welcome to Sport Updates. Let's begin with football and tell you that Ayimba International of Nigeria continued their quest for the 2020-2021 CAF Confederation Cup glory on Wednesday afternoon in a keen contest at the Abba Township Stadium against Al Ali Benghazi of Libya. Abdallah Mohamed's 18th minute strike from the spot cancelled Austin Oladapo's opener, and the People's Elephants had to rely on Victor Mbauma to secure a 2-1 victory and 3 points in Group A. In another development, the Nigerian National League is intensifying efforts at getting a sustainable partnership and sponsorship despite the challenges of COVID-19 and reluctance of corporate institutions to invest in the second tier of football league in the country.
It's going to be a win-win for everybody. Everybody will profit from it. So our own is to ensure that any sponsor that we get, there will be accountability, there will be professionalism in what we are doing, and then there will be integrity.
Meanwhile, reactions have continued to trail the inclusion of Nigeria Professional Football League-based goalkeeper John Noble in the list of 24 players released by Super Eagles technical advisor Geno Truo ahead of match day 5 of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier.
The consistency of Ayimba at the continental level has earned John a call-up in between the sticks. It's also been very consistent with under coach Fatah Mao of Ayimba.
Away from football, but still in the spirit of celebrating the 2021 International Women's Day, women and girls have been tasked to participate in golfing as it serves as a veritable platform for emancipation.
It's a game you can play with friends and you can play it alone. You don't have so many games like that have that flexibility for you.
International Women's Day is celebrated annually on the 8th of March. That's Sports Updates. I'm Ayodeji Makinde.
And in the spirit of International Women's Day, let's remind you to stand against rape and rapists. I'm Ruth Aguele. Enjoy your evening.